Hello and welcome back to Weekly Q&A. That face, I was doing like a Castiel face from Supernatural or something. I don't even know. Here we are, ready to answer some questions. Oh, and I'm Lumin. I was meant to say that first. Oh, this is going well. This is going really well. I should actually just jump straight into the questions right now. But I'm not going to. Instead, I'll say that because I'm not sick anymore, I'm actually getting stuff done. This morning, I did an adventure worthy on an old game that I was really excited to be recording. Super cool. You guys are going to see that sometime over the weekend. I also did Assassin's Creed 3 last night, which was intense. So much fun. The Assassin's Creed games never fail to entertain. Then, later today, I recorded the vlog that went up whenever it went up. After that, I recorded some Metro. I collected a bit of news. It's just been a productive day. And now, obviously, I'm doing this. So it's good. It's good not to be sick anymore. And I shouldn't push myself too hard now. I'm going to try to keep this less than an hour if possible. But we'll see. So we're going to start with a question from GamerMD83. And it warms my heart, both that she left a question and that it's about Battlestar Galactica. Oh, thank you so much. I don't know if she left the first question on the Q&A, but I had to have Battlestar Galactica all the way at the top. Mainly just because I'm enjoying it so much. So, she says, Battlestar Galactica for the win. Who's your favorite character, and what would you think of Battlestar Galactica action RPG type game? With space battles and everything? Well, I would obviously like that, but at the same time, I just don't know if it would work. I like the world. I like the universe it's set in. It is very believable in how they set the entire series up. The lore of Battlestar Galactica, it's not crazy out there. I mean, the baddies, the aliens in the series were created by man. That could happen one day. So that's really cool. As the basis for an MMO, that would be really cool. Only thing is, some people might not enjoy it. Because, oh, I suppose she didn't say MMO. She just asked action RPG type game. Haha. Well, then as long as it doesn't turn out like the new Star Trek game, I'll be happy with it. But I immediately just thought MMO. Because that's the go-to genre nowadays. I could imagine a Battlestar Galactica type game sort of like EVE Online meets Dust 514. The two of them just mashed together using the lore and world of Battlestar Galactica. Wow. But a slightly more scrappy version of EVE, if you know what I'm saying. I think you do. Favorite character? Starbuck. How could it not be Starbuck? She's amazing. The thing with Starbuck is that she's so headstrong, confident, and obviously just fun to watch. But then there's the other side of her. The side that sometimes gets manipulated. The side that's slightly religious or doesn't quite know what to believe. It's just seemingly such a deep character. On the surface, from what you can see at first glance, incredibly shallow, but as they show more of her, she just gets more and more interesting. But I must say that Dr. Gaius Baltar is just so fun to watch, probably even more so than Starbuck, just because that guy is so crazy that everything he does, and most of the time you got to keep in mind that the Cylon lady is with him, but everything he does is just golden. I love watching him just fumble around the whole time, stutter trying to say what he means to say, get in awkward positions constantly. That is so much fun to watch. It really is. So I'd say those two characters. Starbuck, because she's beautiful, and everything else I mentioned. And the Doctor, the good Doctor, or Vice President, whatever. I've only watched about 3 episodes into the 2nd season. But him, because of the entertainment factor, is always entertaining. Then, next question. Curtainful. Lumin, as someone who hasn't watched Battlestar Galactica, how's the production quality? Has it aged well? So this is from 2003, the actual series, and I'd say it's aged incredibly well. So they avoid big space battles and explosions and stuff like that, and they keep it more basic. So I feel like everything reacts more realistically in the series. The explosions aren't out of this world crazy big the whole time. There isn't necessarily a need for a whole lot of special effects. So because of that, they somehow made it look better than a lot of series that are coming out nowadays. I don't even know how it's possible, but I think they just sort of sidestepped around the CGI or special effects requirements. They did a really good job. I think if you watch it now, you probably wouldn't think that it's more than just a couple of years old. The only thing I'd say that could potentially bother you is the actual resolution of the videos. Because a lot of people nowadays are so used to watching 720p, 1080p, stuff like that, that when you get something that's a little bit older and perhaps running at a lower resolution, then you just see it immediately. That's the only thing that I would say even bothers me in the least. But because I'm watching it on my phone for the most part, I really don't have a problem with it. I'd say that the production value, it's aged as well as any series I've ever seen. Incredibly well. So good. Wow. Robert Rose, I was wondering, since you're starting to get into Battlestar Galactica, if there are any other sci-fi series or games that you're interested in or would ever recommend. Well, for games, there are just way too many. It would be impossible for me to recommend all the good sci-fi games I've played. Off the top of my head, Mass Effect and EVE Online. Those are two really big ones for me personally at the moment. The Mass Effect series was just life-changingly good. The entirety of it. Play all of it from 1 till the end of 3. Do it. EVE Online, because I still stick with the fact that, or with what I say, in that EVE Online is the best MMO that's ever been created. It's going to take over the world one day. All other MMOs are probably going to exist within EVE Online. That is how special this game is. Truly. Series? I don't know. Like, you can obviously not mention sci-fi without Stargate. I recently watched, and it wasn't really recently, but a little while ago we watched Terra, which I thought was incredibly fun. I realized it was super cheesy, and that had like really low production value. Or maybe it had high production value, but they just didn't produce it well. I don't know, but it looked kind of cheap. It really did, but it was super fun. It ended up being super fun. I watched a lot of Stargate back in the day. I only watched Stargate when Richard Dean Anderson was still on board, though. I used to watch it with my parents. It was a really long time ago. When we still lived together, we used to sit at night whichever day it came on, I can't even remember, on TV. Then we used to watch it. And I remember the episodes ending just like at bedtime, and then we jump straight into bed after that. It was a good show. Then there's obviously things like Star Trek. I haven't watched all the Star Trek series episodes yet, but I started and it's pretty good. Oh, recently Defiance came out. Defiance seems okay. You guys can rather tell me what you think of Defiance. I played a bit of the MMO. I wasn't really impressed, but the series itself actually looked kind of cool. And when you think of sci-fi stuff, then I suppose you could broaden the amount that you include in that. I mean, technically Supernatural is sci-fi as well. Sometimes. Or is that rather fantasy? I mean, it could also just be considered fantasy. I don't know. It would be impossible for me to like list all the series and games and stuff that I really like or would recommend. But I just mentioned a couple. For movies, there are also just way too many. The first two that come to mind are Fifth Element and Blade Runner. A couple of others that I enjoyed were AI was really good. iRobot. Is it called iRobot? The one with Will Smith. For some reason, that just... it's stuck here somewhere. Anyway. Unconsidered 1. What are you looking forward to at E3? And if it's too late, what did you see that you liked and didn't like? So this is a very difficult question to answer, mainly because there was just so much. Top games were The Division, Titanfall, and Destiny. I'd say those would be the tippy top from what I saw at E3. But like right below them, the tier right below them has a list of games like this as well. And that's seriously close. But those are the 3. If you had to check any games out, check those 3 out, because they all did something different and something special. Destiny felt like Guild Wars 2, the shooter to me. It gave me that vibe. Titanfall looked like a kind of Call of Duty that I'd get into. And The Division, well, that just looked immersive. Super immersive. Those are my quick and dirty reviews of the games. They all look good, and they're all worth checking out. As for the other stuff at E3, I preferred what Sony had to show off above the Microsoft stuff, but I don't know. I think you guys knew that I already preferred the PlayStation above the Xbox. That's just because I'm a PlayStation fanboy, I suppose, and Microsoft and the Xbox team didn't really show anything off that was super impressive. The DRM thing was obviously still a thing back then. Now it's not so much a thing because they called it all off, but whatever. That's what I thought about E3, those 3 games. Mango 999. Entertainment communications related. I also think you can do voice acting. What about children's books? I don't know if you mean voice acting children's books or voice acting and then writing children's books. I don't know. We actually started working on a children's book a long time ago, myself and Eileen, a couple of years ago, and that was a lot of fun. But voice acting children's books, that could be fun as well. Voice acting in general is just a lot of fun. I mean, I haven't done a lot of it, but I've experimented, and I liked what I did. I enjoyed it a lot. It's something that I could see myself doing in life. I suppose that's just the best way of saying it. I don't know if I'd do it really well or convincingly or anything like that, but I would enjoy it, and that's probably the most important thing. Then, Tetsubo57. If we made it to the end, do we get a prize? Yes, you get the satisfaction of watching all the way through one of my Q&As. That's all I can offer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you were expecting more, but that's it. Jonathan Maderi. Is it Jonathan Maderi? I think so. I noticed that you talked about Drizzt. If there would ever be a movie, who would you like to play as Drizzt? I personally want it to be animated in the style of BioWare trailers. That's very interesting. I'd say that the best idea would be for them to make it an animated movie, but at the same time... At the same time... You'd always get a better result if there was an actor of some sort involved. Who? I don't know. I don't know. Who could portray someone like that? And a character that's as important as Drizzt is to the Forgotten Realms? The go-to choice would be something like, Aragorn, put Viggo Mortensen in there. But nowadays, he doesn't look like Aragorn anymore. So that probably won't work. I don't know. Maybe Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. The first Lord of the Rings. Make his skin black. The hair white. You've got yourself a Drizzt. Aha! Glorious! There you go. But I would also prefer it to be animated. Then they could use literally anyone to do the body movements and stuff. They would actually obviously just have to get someone to do the voice with the body that suits it. There would have to be someone really fit. Someone that can do the fighting moves and stuff. Although if it's animated, they could easily swap the person out for a stuntman or whatever, but I don't know. That is such a difficult question. I would prefer to be animated and in the style of the BioWare trailers are amazing, but hey, Blizzard is pretty good at what they do as well. Oh, there's always that. Next. Litaniques. Litaniques. Hi Lumin, I've always wondered, do you feel silly sitting there talking to yourself? Because I've tried it once and it felt so weird. I ended up with a lot of ums and airs and ums because you talk a lot with not many ums and airs. P.S. You're awesome. Thank you for that last part. And I think the ums and ums, they sort of disappear after a while. You just got to get used to sitting there and filling the time up with your voice. And then fill the ums and ums up with laughing and happiness and smiles and stuff. Then people won't even realize when you're awkward. But it does take a while to get used to. It really does. And one of the most difficult parts is knowing where to keep your eyes focused as well. It's not easy. I think they call it burning the lens. Just staring into the middle of the camera's lens the whole time. Keeping your eyes there. I don't do that. I look around the whole time. But I try to keep my focus on the camera most of the time because you want to stay connected with the people watching. That's it. You'll get used to it. My advice would just be stick with recording. Even if you don't upload the videos that you record, even if you don't use them, and you want to do this in the future at some point, because you don't have to be a big-time YouTuber or anything like that to vlog. You can just vlog on the side for fun. Because why not? Use it as your own personal journal or something like that. Don't release the videos to other people. Keep them for yourself. Maybe watch them in a couple of years. See how much you've changed. Whatever. Do it for fun. Do it as an experiment. I think that's kind of cool. Honorize. Hey Lumin. Question. Do you have a cut in your videos? I heard you say at the beginning of the video that you wanted to do it in one take. Isn't that hard without making too many mistakes? It is. That's actually why I put those two questions next to each other. It's really difficult, but it is something you get used to. And with a Q&A, with something like this, or a vlog, or any real-life videos where cutting is much more obvious, you just don't do it. If you make mistakes, you roll with it. I've made a bunch of mistakes already. I just made a mistake right there. I tripped over whatever the word was I was going to say. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm me. I'm not the best speaker in the world. I'm probably not the best entertainer in the world. But I'm being myself for you guys, answering these questions as myself. So if I had to, let's say, cut between each question, then how would you ever know that I was answering them truthfully? What would the point of a Q&A filled with jump cuts be? Sure, if I'm just going to answer like 3 questions or something, and I cut between each question and they're like super long answers, then fine. Fine. But I personally just don't see the point in... Sorry. I had Rice Krispies before this and they were so good. I haven't had Rice Krispies in ages. All we usually have here is oats. We've got some Rice Krispies and I've been enjoying them. For like breakfast, lunch and supper. Well, not really, but I just fit them in wherever I can. Anyway. I don't usually cut in videos. That's actually the point I was trying to get to. When it comes to Let's Plays and stuff, then it takes me a bit of time to get them started. So I'll restart my recording 5 times, 10 times, sometimes even 20 times to get that introduction right, to get the flow rolling. But once I'm going, then I stick with it. Because I think that it is just a much more sincere way of recording. And I do see there being room for doing jump cutted videos or cut videos. I can't say jump cuts for gameplay because I don't know if that really applies. But those are, I think, called montages. It's a different kind of thing. So you can do like a highlight reel or whatever. And I suppose sometimes you can also cut long, boring parts out, that's okay as well. But I personally generally just prefer to start recording and stop recording. You know, do it in one long take. When it comes to things like news episodes, there's absolutely no way. I do that in about 150 takes, if not more. I'll do a line, stop, do a line, stop, do a line, stop. And that's just because I'm bad at reading. So I've got my script here. And then say the script is unconsidered one's question. Then I'll hit the record button, which is Control R in Sony Vegas. I'll get ready and I'll start recording. What are you looking forward to at E3? And if it's too late, what did you see that you liked and didn't like? Stop recording. That's how I'll do it. Now, it's obviously me that types my own script for the news episode, and regardless of that, I still make so many mistakes. Don't even know why. I'm just not that good at it yet. Trying to improve. I will probably get better over time at reading my own scripts and recording my news episodes, but I do a whole lot of cutting in that. It makes sense, though. For that, it makes sense, and that's the only place that I use it. I don't think I ever cut or edit out parts in gameplay videos. Sometimes I will end the video a little bit sooner if I wasn't happy with the end, or start it a little bit sooner if I wasn't happy with the beginning. But then I have to obviously be careful about what the actual gameplay is that I'm losing at the start or at the end. But I generally tend to do it in one take. It is a lot more difficult, and I think that's why a lot of Let's Players are not that great. And I mean a lot as in like the vast majority of, I don't even know, the newer people to it. It takes them a lot longer to get used to it. Now I say them as if they're some foreign species, which is obviously not true. I was one of those people that was completely terrible at trying to fill those empty spaces with words, but I've gotten used to it. I have. So that's it. Let's just see if I answered the entire question. I think when I said that, I actually kind of meant that I wasn't going to retake the intro. So when I said I was going to do it in one go, I just meant that I wasn't going to restart at all. I just clicked the little record button and I stuck with what I said. That was that. But I think if you're not confident in your abilities just yet, then there are always a lot of other things you can do. You can do scripted Let's Plays, which are also interesting. You can do more informative Let's Plays, where you do your commentary over the footage afterwards. That's also, in my honest opinion, a great way to start. So you could start with something like StarCraft 2, for instance. You play a game against a PC or a real opponent or whatever, then you take the game afterwards and you analyze it. Record your own voice over it. There you go. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. If you have anything else to ask where that's concerned, I'd love to answer it. I love talking about talking. It's one of my favorite things. Timothy Golder. Where can I get really nice fingerless gloves? I noticed yours and was most impressed. So I've got one of them here. I don't know where the other one is. And these are not impressive. Oh, these are like the cheapest things I've ever seen. But they're very common in South Africa. I don't know if they aren't common overseas. You can get these for like 10 Rand or something. Maybe not 10 Rand. Maybe 25 Rand. I don't know. But you can get them for really cheap in many of the clothing stores around you, if not all of them. So they're definitely not uncommon. And I wouldn't be able to tell you where to get them. eBay. eBay has everything. We're actually going to buy my tie for the wedding next year on eBay. But trying to find a tie on eBay is trying to find hay in a haystack. If that even makes sense. I don't even know. But there are so many ties on eBay that I'd have to like know exactly what I'm looking for before I start looking to be able to get something, because there are so many different designs, so many different colors. I think we're going to choose a color, choose a texture, and then go with that. We'll see. Color's probably going to be coral. Now, Don Steel 3. Lumin, if you could be a Pokemon, which one would you be, and what attacks or abilities would you have? Man. This is the kind of question that I'd strike a blank on, because as much as I love Pokemon, I can never, ever think of their names. I just know that Snivy is the one that I keep starting on with in black and white. I keep starting black and white over because I begin the game, I play for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, for like a couple of days basically, on and off. Then I kind of forget about it and start doing other things. Then I come back to the game a month or two later and I've forgotten where I was and what I was doing and how to play the game. Then I start again. And every time I pick Snivy. Every time. Maybe I'd be a Snivy. With a vine whip attack. But honestly, I love Pikachu. Honestly. I love Pikachu. That guy's great. It's one of the best character designs I've ever seen. You might say to yourself, well, Lumin, I don't think Pikachu is a real character, but he is. And you probably wouldn't be saying that to yourself, you'd be saying that to me or at your screen. But I say Pikachu is a real character. Maybe he's not a character, but he has character. But, which Pokemon? I don't even know the Pokemon. I love them, but I don't know them all. You know what, I'll get back to you on that. I'm going to start playing Pokemon again, probably tonight. Because I charged our 3DS the other day with the intent of playing Pokemon, but I never got around to it. I'll get back to you on that. Dawn Steel 3, you have my word. At some point in the future, I will talk about Pokemon again. Molda22. Hi there, Lumin. A few questions incoming. 1. Would you ever consider doing some sort of adventure-worthy spin-off where you review or talk about some movies? I've been wanting to do that, and I even had a couple of movies lined up that I wanted to talk about. One being The Life of Pi, because I was fascinated by what was happening in that movie all the way through. It was boggling, and then when I got to the end, I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. I was actually a bit disgusted as well. He leaned more so, but it was crazy. She laughed. I heard her. Life of Pi. Man, if you haven't seen Life of Pi, watch it and brace yourself, because it's rough. It's a rough ride. I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I'll still talk about Life of Pi, just because there's so much going on in that movie to talk about. It'd be a waste not to. Probably fill like a 30-minute vlog up with just Life of Pi depression talk. And maybe I should. Maybe I should. I don't even know. But I am going to do that, okay? I will do it at some point. The same could just be done for series. Because why not? That was the idea when I went into Adventure Worthy. But I think I was being a little bit too ambitious. I will get to it though. It's also a bit difficult showing footage and stuff like that off. I could, from trailers and stuff, but it would obviously just have to be short amounts. Maybe I'll show screenshots. Who knows? And then I think you also said, yeah, interesting TV shows or books as well. I know you have a super busy schedule, so it could be one episode per 2 weeks or something like that. I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts about some movies. I could. Books, well, those would be like one a year, because I don't read enough books at the moment. I can't even remember the last time I lay in bed and read anything. Sad about that. But you know what? Now what I do is I lie in bed and I watch me some Starbuck. That's what I do. And I watched Futurama the other night. Man, Futurama. I don't know what to think about what they did with Futurama. Like, I know that this is now their final run, but I don't know what to make of the episodes thus far. I don't know if I love them or hate them, but I suppose that's always how Futurama has been. For me, at least. Probably my favorite of the animated series, but at the same time, there are some episodes that are just so cringeworthy. Anyway, there are 2 episodes, or maybe 3, out of the new and final season. Check it out. Check it out, because why not? I was busy saying something, but I've completely forgotten. Then, could you please add Unepic to your big list of upcoming adventure-worthy games to cover? I have done that. I just did that recently when I saw it popped up on Steam, and that list is getting super long. Really is, because I've started adding older games to it now. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing that to myself. Don't know why I'm playing the older games before the newer games, but I did it. I did it and it's done. So, MMA Tomaz. My question, can you do me a favor and recommend like 5 games available on Steam for under $10 that are a lot of fun? You know what? I'm opening Steam up right the heck now. Under $10. Man, that's difficult. I'm going to go through my game library and then I'll just pick a few out of it to tell you, like, you know, this is worth playing. Because it would be pointless for me to pick games that I haven't played myself. Because then, well, I wouldn't be being truthful. So right from the top, I can already say Awesome Nauts is great. If you like MOBAs, but you don't like MOBAs, because it's a MOBA and it's not a MOBA. So it's like Dota, but not Dota. And it's fun. Bastion, get it. If you haven't played Bastion yet, get it now and play it before Transistor comes out. Then when Transistor comes out, get that and play that too. I'd say Bastion will probably be all the way at the top of whatever list I'm about to form right now because it is a super cool game. Hotline Miami is a lot of fun. I think if you can get Legend of Grimrock for less than $10, you should be able to. Then you definitely should. FTL, Faster Than Light, super, super good. FTL, that'll keep you busy for a long time. Even if you finish it, there's always more to do in it. And now with Steam's trading cards, there's another reason to go back, spend more time in it. Then, I could actually just recommend some free-to-play games, which I'll do in just a second, because I love going through this list. There are so many good free-to-play games as well. Now, I'm going to be a little bit selective. Rius. Rius is... It's a god game, it's 2D, it's a lot of fun as well. Very, very... What's the word I'm looking for here? Personality driven game. Not personality driven, but personalized. No, it has a lot of personality. That's what I'm trying to say. Rius is amazing. Very cool. And a lot of replayability. Bastion not so much, but Rius and FTL have a lot of replayability. Let's see. What else do we have here? Sword of the Stars, The Pit is a lot of fun. Dungeons of Dreadmore, super cool as well. Once again, a lot of replayability. When you're aiming for games that are good value for money and good fun, then you always go for the ones that you can just play over and over again. And those are your best bet. Then some of the older games are obviously really good as well. But I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop myself right there because there are quite a few games here. Ooh, Torchlight. Torchlight is really good. Instead, I'm going to go to the store and then I'm going to click on free to play. And I'm going to tell you right the heck now that there are a couple of good games here. Immediately I see Warframe and I think to myself, wow, not half bad. Really good game. PlanetSide 2. Amazing game. EverQuest. A classic. So you could always just go onto Steam and check the free-to-play stuff out if you want something to do. Tribes Ascend, Dungeons and Dragons Online, Blacklight Retribution, also quite good. Wow. You could keep yourself busy. Realm of the Mad God, that's kind of nice as well. DC Universe Online, I think that's reasonably decent, especially considering they're going to put it on PS4. Yes, it's not bad. Okay, I'm closing this now. I could go on for so long. But there you go. So even if you don't want to spend any money, there are lots of free-to-play games that are well worth it. Clearbear, dear Lumin, where did the saying Loom... Oh, Loom. I was going to say Loom Sands. Clearbear is asking, where did the saying warm sands come from? And what does it mean? I've heard you say it a few times in your videos now, and I like it. So warm sands is what the Khajiit in Skyrim say as a greeting. That's it. It just means warm sands. And I'm assuming that the actual saying just ends up being a greeting combined with sort of like a blessing. Because you want to walk on warm sands. You don't want to walk on hot sands. Walk on no frozen sands. No. Warm sands are nice. Yes. And if you think about it, they're in the cold province of Skyrim, so they'll wish their brethren warm sands. Because that's where they all want to be. When they dream of nice things at night, they're dreaming of the warm sands of elsewhere. So you wish someone warm sands, you wish them well. That's it. Well wishing with a greeting. And I just like the sound of it. Honestly, warm sands. I would use that in real life if it would make any sense to anyone out there in the real world that's not a gamer. When I go to a convention at some point in the future, which I will obviously do, I want to. Maybe not soon. Maybe I'll go to next year's BlizzCon if I'm rich and famous then. I don't know if that's going to happen. Probably not. And when I get there, I will just say warm sands to everyone. Because why not? Then, Anonymous. So in what languages do you know? I know Afrikaans and English. I know German as well, but I don't speak it very well. I understand all of it. But I'm not so good at the whole talky thing. I do, however, speak Afrikaans kind of well, and English, well, you know how I speak English. So those are the ones that I know. I don't know any of the other African languages, and there are a whole lot of them. Don't know any of them. I suppose you could say that I understand most of what Dutch people say as well, because Dutch is so similar to Afrikaans, but there you go. What do you think about doing some classic adventure worthies of classic games? I've already spoken about that in this Q&A, so I'm not going to answer the question right here now. Basically, I'm already doing it. There you go. Second, third, first. Seriously, when if you haven't said anything, no one would have noticed your dyslexia. You read quickly and fluently, and you write perfectly. Are you sure it's not something else? I'm very sure it's dyslexia. I can feel the problems forming in my head as they happen, and then I just quickly autocorrect them. But it is, and I was actually diagnosed with it. It's maybe not the most serious case ever, and it doesn't really display very prominently in my day-to-day life or anything like that, but it's there. And it doesn't bother me at all. Not in the least bit worried or sad or anything about it. It doesn't bother me in the least. Trevor Shearwood, hi. My question this week is, how well do you get on with the in-laws? The in-laws. Those would be Eileen's family members. Quite well, actually. It was obviously awkward at first, as it always is. Sure, everyone can, agree with that. That's ever had to go through it. But I actually get along really well. Eileen's father is, in how he carries himself and how he goes about his day-to-day life, a lot like my mother. So it's sort of a natural thing. And I get along really well with him. Her mother and most of the rest of her family, so the only family members she currently has over here would be her father and her younger brother. I get along incredibly well with him as well. But her mother and the rest of the family, I haven't seen them very much. I've seen them a couple of times, but we got along well as well. There was nothing wrong with it. I don't think I've ever really thought to myself, man, these people, I need to get out of here. I've never really had that. And I suppose I'm blessed. I don't know if I'd be able to answer the same question from Helene's perspective, but I do think she gets along well with my family. I wouldn't be able to go into any specifics, but she does get along well with them. Probably even more so them getting along well with her, because they just get along well with anyone. But anyway, it's mutually good. Then, Terra Muncher, Lumin. Would you like it if I gifted you a serial key on Steam of the Divinity Anthology? Divine Divinity, Beyond Divinity, and Divinity 2 Developers Cut with all the DLC and developer mode. Got the key after I bought the anthology on Amazon. It was spare. Okay. Please let me know if you want me gifted to you. It would be my pleasure. The reason I included this here was just to say that if you guys want to gift me anything, that's fine. But don't put yourselves in a bad position because you want to just spend money now to gift me something. Don't do that. I don't know how the best way is to explain this, but I'm basically just saying if you don't have the money, don't spend it. But if you have extra or whatever and you want to either donate a game or something like that, or if you have an extra copy of a game that you realize I don't have, then hey, I'd gladly accept it because I'm slowly but surely getting through all the games that I wanted to do videos of, and it's amazing. It is actually amazing how many games there are that I haven't played that I really should. I installed Dark Souls recently, and man, that was a mission. The game is such a technical mess, but at the same time I can see why people are so obsessive about it at times. People love Dark Souls. People live by Dark Souls. That's one of the games that I didn't even touch before a couple of days ago. So if there are games out there that you really want me to have a look at some point, and you've got an extra copy of them, then fine. That's okay. But again, don't do it if you can't afford to. All I'm saying. If you've got someone else, like a really close friend or something, that perhaps also hasn't played this game, rather give it to them and say, listen here, friend. This is from me, but it's also from Lumin. Warm sands. Say that to them. Wow, you'll make their day. Then, Cal Smith. Hello, Lumin. It's been a few weeks since I've commented, so I thought I'd pop one up. My question. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And Helene's, if possible. Also, what are your thoughts on Elder Scrolls Online? For me, it looks brilliant. Haven't looked forward to a game this much in forever. My favorite flavor of ice cream is licorice. I've never actually tasted it before, but it is my favorite. I can tell you that right now to be sure. Helene's favorite is Neapolitan. I can say that without hesitation as well. She loves Neapolitan. That's that one with the 3 different colors, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. She likes that. She likes that a whole lot. She likes those colors as well. Brown, white, and pink are 3 of her favorite colors at the moment. Okay, there you go. As for Elder Scrolls Online, I didn't think much of it at first. But when they added the first-person mode, then I was excited. The second first-person mode was in the game and playable. I took a liking to it. So, that said, I am excited for Elder Scrolls Online. I'm more excited for some other stuff at the moment. Hearthstone, Cube World, which I have quite sadly not been able to play yet. It really is quite sad. I was hoping I'd get into Cube World. I did even mail this Wale guy long before the beta started, but he never replied to me. I'm obviously too small fry for him, but that is one game that I was hoping I'd get to play sooner rather than later and get videos up for sooner rather than later so that I could get views, subscribers, so it could help me out. But what I'm going to hope for instead is Hearthstone, and I'm going to dedicate a lot of my energy and time to Hearthstone and to putting good Hearthstone, fun Hearthstone content out there. I'm excited. Starbound, that's pretty exciting as well. Wildstar, I would say that Elder Scrolls has actually moved up above Wildstar for me now, but still pretty excited for that. There you go. Random epic person. Hey yo Lumin, what are your thoughts on Nelson Mandela? I thought it would be an appropriate question at the moment due to his unfortunate illness. Get well soon. For those that don't know, he has a lung infection? I think it is. But, you know what? Nelson Mandela in general, he's a great guy. I don't think there's a single person in the world that doesn't like him. And obviously I like him. He's amazing. He's done amazing things for this country and the entire world. I can't say a single bad thing about the guy, and I do feel quite badly for him at the moment, because it's obviously not cool being sick, but I don't think he feels bad for himself, not in the least. This guy, I will say he's lived a full life. Sure, a lot of it was spent in jail, but he wasn't actually meant to be in jail, but, you know, that's not the kind of story I want to get into now. You can read up on Nelson Mandela. He was wrongfully imprisoned, but he would not be sad about where he is right now. He's really old. I think he's about 90... What is he, 96, 90? I don't even know. He's in the 90s, probably in the high 90s. And I would say that he's at peace. Regardless of what happens, whether it be good or bad, he's ready for it. And I'm glad about that. That's the one thing I'll say. So, Clone Fox 23. In the background, where did you get Piero's Remedy poster from? Piero's Remedy. Printed it from the wiki, the Dishonored wiki, super high resolution. Printed it at a local photo place. If I'm not mistaken, I told him to print it in the highest possible quality, matte, not glossy, and then I got it framed in a glossy glass frame, and that's what you see right there. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? I think so. That means that from that point on, from the point that I actually got that framed, I was on the lookout for like high resolution concept art and stuff, because I could potentially do this by myself. I wouldn't have to buy a collector's edition to get these pieces of art. Be able to frame the ones that I really want to frame. Haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking of doing it for certain pieces in the future. We'll see. Maybe I'll get a Hearthstone piece on the wall somewhere. It would have to be really good art though. I'm just going to put some random stuff on my wall. But that's where I got it. Alec Corvin. Dear Lumin, I think this is the last question. I know you enjoy Guild Wars 2 It Is. And I was wondering if you've played Terra. And what are your thoughts on hotkey combat as opposed to true action combat? So, we played Terra recently, myself and Helene. We played a little bit. I made a character. I fiddled around for a few minutes. And honestly, I didn't enjoy it that much. Now, the game obviously just didn't feel as solid or as high in production value as Guild Wars 2, but it did feel reasonably good. The engine seems really good. Is it a Cry engine that it's running on? I can't remember. It looks really nice. The character creation was a lot of fun, but when it came to actually playing the game, it felt a bit grindy, and at the same time, it didn't work very well with our latency. Because it's true action combat, it was super difficult for me to hit stuff. Because I'm hitting over here, and then the mob is already over there. Shooting over here, and the mob is already over there. It was difficult. It's not something I can't work around, but it's difficult. So for something like World of Warcraft, for instance, where you select someone, or Guild Wars actually works in the same way. Guild Wars not so much, because Guild Wars you actually have to sort of position yourself a little bit better than you would in something like WoW. But for that kind of game, our latency isn't that big a problem. But when it comes to true action combat, it's difficult. Same reason playing FPS games like Call of Duty or whatever, Counter-Strike, Quake on an international server. So one that's across the sea, where we have over 100 latency, maybe 150 or 180 or 200. In something like Guild Wars, we probably have about 250 to 300 ms. Then it's a little bit more difficult. I think for something like Quake Live on an international server, I've got about 160 ms, and it's not so much fun. I can play with 60, 70, but when you get above 100, it's not cool. And that is the problem I had with Terra. So I couldn't really experience it to its fullest, but I did think that the visual style was cool, the graphics were amazing, and the character creation was fun. There you go. And that is sadly all I've got for you this week. Hopefully the Q&A will be up on time next week. I can't guarantee anything. I really can't. There's going to be a channel update coming up soon. I think there's a Final Fantasy 14 Realm Reborn beta weekend coming up, which I might actually be able to use to record stuff in this time around. I think the NDA is being dropped. I'm not entirely sure, but I think so. And there's a whole lot of other stuff too. Check back soon for more. Leave those questions, if you have any, about anything, absolutely anything. I don't mind, just ask away. Most importantly though, happy waiting for the games you're waiting for. Hopefully, they won't take too long to get here. Happy that.